Hello, the game has started. It's me to go first. I have a balanced rack. Do I have a bingo? Tyrosine through an N, but of course, as it's my turn first, I need to find a 7. Not quite esoteric. I'm just not seeing. I'm not seeing a 7. I'm playing yo for 10. Okay, this looks a little bit better. Let's see what opponent does. Sterile is the one that jumps to mind. But is there a bingo beginning with a O, something like Ustrial? Retiles, Sterile, Leicester, and there are a few others. Okay, opponent plays BAP. I can play Leicester for 71. Does that score most? Well, I've got nothing for going after yo, so I can't play in column I anyway. That's not a bad pickup. Cytoids, is that good? Cystoids, maybe I'm thinking of cystoid. Idiocy plus an S. I have the dicotyl, I think is good. Dicotyl. Dicotyls for 73. If it's good. I suspect opponent might be looking to play on to the trip, in which case he'll be providing additional floaters. I have the ISO prefix. ISO. And I have the disco plus a Y. Okay, opponent has now provided an E. Be nice to play a 4-timer across onto the E. Not seeing one offhand. Dicotyls for 73. I draw 2 heavyweights in the X and the Z. And I'm looking at hotspots for those 2 heavyweights. Opponent's play of fag doesn't really help me, as I have nothing for going in front of the G. Now, what about the C? Any X plays? I'd need an A for calcs. And I don't see a Z play. Okay, so at first glance I thought, wow, scoring potential in the X and the Z, but looking a little closer at this board, X's for 29 seems pretty weak, considering that the Z and the X represent great scoring potential ordinarily, and this gives easy scoring spots to opponent. A play of Zex here for 31 gives a little less to opponent. Yeah, I think I'm going with this. Zex for 31, also a better rack leave. Heavy. I've got some clunky consonants to work with here. The W and the F, they don't go fantastically together. I have the wire component of a word, and I have the left component. Okay, opponent plays quest for a whopping 76 points. That's as good as a bingo. Looking if there's a way to incorporate both the F and the W under the Q. Not seeing a way of doing that. Flight for 43. I draw another W, which seems like it's going to hamper bingo prospects. ED takes a H, so that's pretty hot for a play in column K. War is war is good, W-A-W. No spot currently for that. Quest takes an S, so really hot lane here now, column O. I can't really take advantage of this. I could play something like crawl for 27, or I could he takes the H spot there, so what about a play of brawl? 34, yeah, that seems alright. Now, this quest spot's still very hot. I have Benj. That's a good way to get rid of the J for 39 points. Hopefully, opponent would be attracted to the bottom right corner. Ah, great. Benj remains available. Just scanning the board for any other options. Okay, Benj it is for 39. Oh, I've got the V's to deal with now. Vav is good, V-A-V. I could take out this S lane, unless opponent snaps it up with a bingo. This would certainly help to control the board, eliminating two floaters, one very useful, one not so useful. This quest spot really troubles me though. Okay, opponent has taken out the quest hook or he's limited the flexibility of using it. Now cat takes an A. I can't see a 5-letter play ending in A. I think I will go with Vav. Strategically it makes sense. Close the board down while preserving a lead. Still a blank to come, and this spot very hot. The other problem is I no longer have a letter for playing at the end of cat. It doesn't take an E. I think I might just play a P here. It seems weak, but strategically it takes out a very, very hot lane. So, and as I don't have an S and there's still a blank to come, I really want to mitigate the potential danger that this column represents. Lowered. That's nice, but I don't think it'll play anywhere. Okay, opponent does get a bingo down. Draggier. And believe it or not, I can't take advantage of this hotspot created above the G. Lowered doesn't play as well. I have droll. Seems a bit weak for 24. Still some bingo-y tiles to come. Any 6-letter play ending in an O or an E. Just not seeing it. I could just play something like weed. Opponent can't play YGO because there's no Y to come. He could use a blank to do it, but he wouldn't score a huge amount. Weed. That takes out, it's 20 points. If I play droll, it's a higher score, but it gives useful floaters. I think I will go with this because there are no bingo lanes apart from the J, which is, yeah, I'm going with this. I forgot about front extensions for weed. Unhip, okay, opponent plays there. I have MM here for 23. That seems okay, and it sorts the rack out. Yeah, I'm going with this. Is there a bingo here? Down to 4 minutes. Lunar is no good. Borneols from a B. It looks like a very handy set, this. Just wondering if I have the non prefix. Very bingo-y tiles remaining. He's created a lane, but I wonder if I play something like LO, but he can play down from the N, so perhaps something like null. Null doesn't take anything. Don't think it takes an S. Snool. And yeah, this makes it really hard for opponent to score. Null. Maybe I'll play off the S as well. Null's for 21. Yeah. Doesn't take... null is no good, but loon is fine. I've just seen nutrias. Nutrias. Oh, that is a very possible bingo. Nutrias. Wow. That is interesting. What about just playing something like L-O-S? Lows. What does lows take in front? If he plays through the N, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, so he can't fit it in there. So this blocks this lane, doesn't create a new lane, and it blocks the N. I like this play. 16. Okay, I draw a bingo. He's almost got nutrias, yeah. Just looking at possible bingos he might have. No, I think lows has killed it for him. He can't play through the N. There's no front hooks. No front hooks for lows, unless I've overlooked one. And he can't play underneath. He'd have to end on... Yeah, no, there's no bingo here. Now, back to my rack. I've got ornate under the D. Any front extensions for weed? Rotweed? Don't think so. Otarine doesn't play anywhere. Interesting. A bingo would win it for opponent, but I think this really does kill it for him. Nothing goes after double A. Okay, Ruin takes a B. I don't have one of them. What was I thinking of? Ornate. 24. I doubt there'll be anything better unless there's a play ending in IA. Entia. That's 22. No, ornate is still better. 24. And opponent should go out with blank AR. Here's Jarl in the top. And he has car and run. I wonder if there's a tarweed. He has TARWEED. That's definitely good. Yeah, tarweed. That'd be a nice way to go out. 30 points. Okay, opponent goes with Arb, and that's the end of the game. So let's have a look at what we missed. It's a fairly low scoring game. Few tricky racks to deal with. 401 to 351. Back to the start, and let's see how we fared. Nothing on the opening rack. Yo seems fine for 10. Opponent had BAP for 18, Cab for 20. So a few bingos on offer here. Sterile was 72. 9G. STERIL. Getting the E doubled there, so it was an extra point. Okay. Not a big miss though. Creek for 28 was best for opponent. And then, wow, look at these. Yoiksed. YOICKSED. Yoiksed. Played in 2 different spots. And then Sodicity. That's the first time I've seen that. Sodicity. So like Audacity. No, Audacity. Okay, Sodicity, and then Dicotyls was the one I played. And Cystoids was the other one I mentioned while I was running through the options. But Dicotyls scored more than Cystoids. Opponent then had Fag for 25 with QSTU, pretty good leave. Zex for 31 was best from this position. And then Quest for 76, monster play. Wow, look at that. Futrals, another word that doesn't register any familiarity whatsoever. Futrals, beautiful. And that was onto the S, Futrals. Yeah, very nice. I looked at the rack and I thought W and F don't go well together, but there are a few bingos there that you can incorporate both with. Flight seems fine as a second best. Where was Flight? 43. And it took out a hot spot as well. So not a huge miss, but obviously substantial enough for this play to be suboptimal. Now Chao for 27, or Chow, however you pronounce it, that sorted the rack out perfectly, but opponent went with O for 24. Now Brawl for 34 was the top score here, a little bit volatile, but Albata 24. Opponent went with Alant, got rid of 2 A's, and then Benj was best for 39. Titty for 14 sorted opponent's duplicate eyes out. Then Vavs for 11. WAP for 24, which was at 011. Carter and Jip. But Vavs, I think, had great strategic merit in killing the most useful lane on the board for opponent to claw his way back into the game. So happy to have blocked that one. Dowra for 30 at 08, making Carter. Opponent went with Duo, which I was a little bit surprised by because this was a useful lane for opponent and he did need a bingo to get back in the game, so this really closed off a very useful lane. Pal for 14, I went with Jip. Where was Pal? Oh, through double A. Okay, up here. Yeah, not terrible, but I thought take out the hotness of this lane. Even without a bingo, opponent could have scored quite well. But yeah, Dragia came down anyway for 65, and that was the only bingo available. Dowell for 33. I knew there was a 5-letter play incorporating the W, but I just couldn't think of it, so DOWLE at the top there for 33 would have been quite nice, albeit giving back floaters to opponents. So I thought go with Weed because it really made underlaps pretty tricky and didn't give back any. Oh, mind you, Weed does take a T. There was only one T to come, so a little bit open for opponent. He had unhip for 20, and then I had double M, seems fine. Rune for 14, no bingo on offer here. Well, nowhere really to put a bingo. So opponent opens up. Now Orweed was the other one, O-R-E, and that's one I have seen, Orweed. I think O-A-R weed is good as well, Orweed, spelled O-A-R. Now I went with lows, and for reasons previously stated, strategically it blocked the N. It blocked this lane for bingos ending in IS or OS or AS, and it didn't give anything back to opponent, so I think it had merit. Just looking at the N, if it would have given opponent anything here. Not seeing anything. Pinweed, Orweed, Tarweed for opponent here. And he went with Ruin and then Ornate. But I could have gone with Orweed for 33. Again, I missed the Orweed. Oh, so there they've got both spellings, which confirms that you can spell it both ways. And then opponent went out with Ob. So that was the end of the game. Yeah, pretty good game. A few tricky racks to deal with. I think opponent struggled a little bit more with his racks. But all in all, a good game. And some nice... I was happy to spot dicotyls. Yeah, hope you enjoyed watching that game. And I will see you next time.